Well, this weekend, we're sort of back to ordinary time. So at the end of the Easter season, then we have the succession of kind of unique feasts where we have like Trinity Sunday, and then last Sunday was Corpus Christi Sunday. And now this Sunday, we're finally back into the Sundays of ordinary time, where we will be until the end of the liturgical year in November. And then when we start over again in December or the end of November with the first Sunday of Advent. That being said, I should be wearing green today, but in my flurry of motion running into the sacristy, just put on the same white vestment I've been wearing for the last 2 months and forgot that it should be green today. So if you're wondering why I'm wearing white, I shouldn't be wearing white. I should be wearing green. However, as they say in the liturgical world, white is always right, and this is true. You actually can wear white anytime. So if a priest is traveling and he can only bring one vestment with him because he's trying to pack light, you pack a white one. So technically it does work, but it should be green today. This weekend, the readings, throughout ordinary time, the first reading and the gospel are always specifically chosen to go together. So the second reading is kind of on its own little track. Throughout the Sundays of ordinary time, the church gives us sometimes like a whole letter from Paul, and it gives it to us in little chunks. But the first reading, the one from the Old Testament, and the gospel are always meant to go together. And so today we see from the book of Ezekiel, and then we see in the gospel, the same reality being spoken of. And what that is this, that God is the one who provides lasting growth. That whenever man strives to build something, if he does it only on his own, eventually it will crumble and fall, and there will be no long-term growth. The last couple of days have been a very exciting couple of days in the diocese. As happens every year, we have ordinations around this time of year, and yesterday we had our priestly ordinations down in Bismarck, and we ordained four men to be priests for the diocese. I'm saying this all the time, but we live in a really blessed diocese right now where we are getting tons of vocations. 4 priests this year, 5 set to be ordained next year, 4 the year after that. Just a ton of new priests. And it really became evident this weekend, this reality, that God is the one that builds. And oftentimes you and I don't see the thing God is building, do we? We are the ones who toil like the laborers in the field, who are out working and sweating and suffering, and we don't often see what God is doing. So the guy I was probably closest to of the 4 that just got ordained this weekend is Nick Vetter, who was here a couple summers ago. And his uncle, Bishop Austin Vetter, was pastor here for 3 or 4 years. And last night at the banquet, I ran into Nick's dad, Leland Vetter, who's quite a character if you ever meet him. And Nick is one of 10 kids, so they have 10 children. Nick is one of the younger ones. I think he's third from last. And I went up to Leland, who clearly, this is a tough guy. This is an Emmons County, North Dakota, German from Russia farmer, who doesn't always show his emotions, and yet yesterday you could tell was a very moving day for him. And watching his son get ordained a priest, a very proud moment for him. And I went up to him at the banquet, and I said, I thanked him, I congratulated him, and I said, thank you for all that you've done for the church and in raising your children. And he kind of just stopped and looked at the ground, and he was like, it wasn't easy, he said, and he kind of laughed. And he said, I got angry a lot, is what he said to me. And isn't that the truth? That as we are busy striving to do what is truly good, striving to stand in allegiance with God's plan, oftentimes it's not very romantic. It's not very flashy and cool looking. It's not immediately rewarding and satisfying. And yet underneath, God is doing tremendous things. This morning was Nick's Father Nick Vedder's Mass of Thanksgiving. So after you get ordained, then the next day, the newly ordained priest for the first time, celebrates Mass all on his own. And so it was down in Linton, North Dakota. And so that's where I was today at 11 o'clock for their Mass. And Father Nick Vedder, who I've had the privilege of knowing now for about 8 years, looked so calm and so relaxed and spoke so genuinely after Mass, thanking everyone, teared up as he thanked his parents. And the comment was made this weekend, everything feels so right. The fruits of God's work is that everything feels right, is that there's true peace. The difficulty of living in this world, this fallen world, is oftentimes we don't get to experience the fruit all the time. We're busy toiling. But one day we will experience the fruit, because the fruit is being grown, just in the kind of mysterious way that it takes the whole season for a plant to grow. And the fruit wouldn't be there in the fall had it not been for the entire several month-long season, growing season. And yet during that whole time, you really see none of it. But it's all needed. Jesus has a special task for all of us, and it's our vocation. For those of us who have already accepted it, Jesus asks us simply and humbly to be faithful to our vocation. And for those who are trying to discern what their vocation is, Jesus has an adventure for you that will lead to incredible fruit, like the kind of fruit that Father Nick Vedder, and the kind of fruit that Leland Vedder, his father, got to experience over the last couple of days, and that we'll all get to experience forever in heaven. Jesus has this in store for us. It's the only life worth living. If we don't follow his call, we're bound to have maybe tiny little pleasures here and there, but at a deep level, to always feel lost, to always feel empty, to always feel like there's something left undone. If I want to find true meaning in my life, I have to be faithful to my vocation. We ask Jesus for the strength to be able to do that.